here, so we're going to go ahead and get started. So the goal of the stream tonight is to finish up the Osiris content, at least as much as we can. It's not too much, so I'm hoping that we can get it all done. We can get it all done tonight, but I'm just going to go through, double check, make sure I'm not missing anything. Any new adventures or anything that may have popped up that I know I saw a couple earlier, and I went ahead and I think I knocked them out on the stream earlier today. Neosis. I think I'm good here. I am. Alright. So back to Mercury. So if you missed it earlier, I did the Mercury mission where I have to get to Io and look for a map of the Infinite Forest and the Pyramidion. So now, we've kind of got that map, but I'm not really sure what we're going to do with it. So we're headed back to Mercury to see what we can do. Again, as a quick refresher, while we're flying in, I am trying to use all of the gear from this set or from this DLC. I'm not entirely sure how well that's gonna go, but we're gonna give her a shot. Boots 495, 42, 42, 40. So that'll be the one I can use next. So just kind of prepping all of it, trying to get it ready. I know I can already use the arms. You'll notice some of the pieces I can't quite use yet. That has more to do with when I pulled it out of my vault or when I acquired it via turning stuff in. Oh, there's the gold chest. So there's that, and here's this big guy. And he's dead. Give me my chest. Glimmer and simulation seeds. And I picked those up already. So, onward and upward. You'll notice that I'm seeing a lot of chests, or a lot of chests are popping up. Part of that is due to the fact that I am using the Segura Ghost Shell. I want to grab this chest real quick, and I'll kind of show you guys, for those who maybe aren't entirely familiar with this DLC, or what the content was that was in it. Just because you maybe didn't play as much or at all. As I stated a little earlier, I think it was even yesterday, this was not Bungie's best effort. It's how most of the community, myself included, feels. So not everybody did all of the content, but let's go back in here. We're going to go see Brother Vance really quick. So when you come in to the game, actually, let me talk to him real quick.
Guardian.
Hello, Guardian. Oh, of course. How many more packages do I need? Claim 8. And of course it doesn't tell me how many I've gotten. The Prophecies by Perfect Paradox. Grenade kills, Orbs of Light, loot chests. Oh, I'm one package away. That's fine. That's fine. Let's see.
The Vanguard called Osiris
494, 495. That's the same level, so I'll go ahead and take care of that. So some of the weapons you're seeing I don't I can't use, like, I got this Traveler's Judgment. I could pick up another one, but level 42 is when I can use it. I'm 38. I'm not too far off. Same with the Perfect Paradox. Same with some
I
of the
have
boots or
endured
even
many
the chest
trials
pieces that you see there.
to wait for
Um,
Osiris to return.
so I'm kind of, hoping I can get to use some of this for the Osiris content. I may not
I
be able
used to
to.
believe
So
I
if
would
not,
be
I'll,
the
I'll use
one
it
to
for
fight
Warmind.
Osiris.
The biggest reason I
That's not
wouldn't
my
be able
fault.
to use it
Yes.
is, or the biggest thing is I will not be able to use. Oh, I finally got the full set there. I didn't have the chest. That's cool. Um,
The
is
truth
I don't have
awaits you,
any of the
Guardian,
Braytech stuff
whenever you're
for
ready.
doing the escalation protocol, which we'll go over there. So I'll probably wear a lot of the Osiris stuff throughout that. Um,
I have
but when
heard
you
of
come in
Osiris.
here, when you first start after you beat the campaign, you'll get a Lost Prophecy where you have to pick up, where you have to do. I think you can do them from Strikes, Crucible.
Hello, Guardian.
I can't remember Nightfalls, but you pick up these Radiolarian cultures, public events, and random chests, and the paradox amplifiers from Crucible Strikes and Heroic Mercury Adventures. And what you have to do is you have to collect them, and it builds up. And eventually, once you've met all of the criteria, whoops, still learning that jump. You come over here, you turn it in, and you get a weapon. That's where the Lost Prophecy weapons come from. When you get all of them, you see the wall lights up. I did that on my Titan, but it counts. It's account based. And then when you do that is when you get the Segura shell. To just kind of go back over the Segura shell. Whoops, how if I hit the right button? The Segura shell, you're welcome. Detects caches and resources within a 75-meter radius. And then Scion of Mercury, increased glimmer chance to obtain additional faction, increased glimmer and a chance to obtain additional faction consumables on Mercury. The gunsmith telemetry, I'm not entirely worried about. I just have a random projection there. Um, so yeah, so I do have the Segura shell, and it is to help me out. I do also have one that is specifically for Mars when I get to the Warmind DLC, and yes, I will be using that as well. So let's go ahead and, oh, you see here? Simulation Seed. And there's a chest. I kind of saw it, but it pulls up. And if you're ever farming for materials, which if you have Forsaken, you don't have to do anymore. But if you ever did, if you were just like, I just want to go old school RPG and go hunting around for this stuff, any of these ghosts, especially that have the combo detectors, are extremely helpful. All right. Tree of Probabilities. So Tree of Probabilities also is a strike. They repurposed it. So it is a strike as well. Got a lot. So
I have reports of Red Legion activity on Mercury. Survivors from the Almighty.
Survivors, huh? Let's finish the job.
all right. So you notice I am now using the Arc subclass. I mentioned on the little stream earlier today before work that I would be going with that. Um, reason being is, okay, I'm not sure why that happened. But the reason being is when I'm playing any content, unless I'm doing something with friends and we're trying to achieve something specific, I personally like to like basically have one of every element of something with me at all times. This basically allows me to, if I'm running into Solar Shield, yes, it's heavy, but if I needed it, I've got it. How that hurt. Right, there was no thing that way, so. So yeah, because I'm going with the setup I'm going with, that's why I'm running the Arc. Um, there we go.
Coordinates locked. Let's get to that node. Then we can use the map to find Panoptes and stop the dark future.
Oh shit, I thought I got him. There we go. Alright. So while we're doing this, in between the dialogue, as far as repurposing story missions into strikes,
Okay. Find another gateway, and I can get us to the node.
I was always kind of ambivalent about it. Like, I didn't really care either way. I think the reason I've the more I think about it, the more I can't be okay with it and support Bungie in that.
Searching for Panoptes too. Even if he makes a million copies of himself, I don't think he'll find it in time. We need that map.
Okay. The reason I can't support it in the way that Bungie has done it so far is because we're not getting anything new on top of it. So, like, if I was getting, like, oh yeah, we're repurposing this story mission, like this one, a tree of probabilities. That indicates, obviously, probabilities means things can change all the time. So, like, to that extent, you know, I understand the word, I get it. So I'm fine with it to that extent. But, like, we didn't get anything, like, new and shiny for strikes. And we haven't, we got a few with Forsaken, but in none of the other DLCs that we've gotten, pre-Forsaken or post-Forsaken, we didn't get that shiny, like, wow factor. And that was something that in Destiny 1, they always kind of delivered on, I felt like, was strikes. Here we go. So, for me, I really, like, I don't mind them repurposing them when it makes sense, but I definitely, like, we need to have that shiny, that ooh, ah, kind of, kind of moment. I think if you're gonna give us content that's repurposed, we have to have some new shiny to go with it. Otherwise, it feels, and I'm not saying that they are, because clearly video game design is extremely difficult, but it feels lazy. And so, again, while I'm not the expert, I don't know squat about making a video game. I know it's expensive, I know it's time consuming, so I'm never that one that's like, we need to have this. I'm simply saying from an aesthetic standpoint, like, I understand why people are upset. I understand why a lot of people were like, oh, well, why didn't we get anything new? Like, to an extent, I get it. You know, but I'm not going to sit here and hold Bungie hostage, especially when, regardless, unless something definitive comes out, we don't know how much of this was Bungie and how much of this was Activision. And I don't know if we'll ever truly know. So I think that I'm trying to be as open-minded as I can about it, because I don't know. I don't know if, like, the whole thing with the Eververse, when they You know, when they started pushing that, was that Bungie who was like, oh yeah, Eververse, great idea. We can get these cosmetics, and we can charge for them and make things a giant pain in the ass, or was that Activision who was like looking at something like say Fortnite and saying, hey, games as a service, we can do this, so let's do it, not realizing that, at least from my estimation, what little bit of Fortnite I've ever played, the cosmetics are inexpensive relatively. Whoopsie daisy. But what you also have to look at is, you know, that's their business model. They've given you a free-to-play game, but if you want to continue to get new content, then you have to supplement it in some way. With Bungie and with Destiny, at least, not necessarily Bungie, it's a little different because you're talking about a game with DLC where we're going to get content drops every however often, you know. So if you're going to charge for certain cosmetics, I'm fine with it, but not all of them. Like Eververse kind of became a catch-all, and that's not what I don't think it should have. In my opinion, it should have never been. And I think that's hurt them for the longest time. It also has hurt them because it's taking them a long time to implement certain changes. We don't understand why. Again, I understand video game development is expensive and time consuming. So I'm not presuming to be an expert on this by any stretch of the imagination. But I just can't, you know, I can't imagine that it should be this hard. And, you know, the way video games are developed and stuff now. And I think something that, and while I've never been able to confirm this, I'm sure the information's somewhere, but me and some friends of mine who, you know, they do IT for a living, and I used to do IT, and I understand a little bit about programming. Is it seems like they've hard coded a lot of the game's data in a way that makes it hard to change. And again, it's probably from a cost perspective, that's why they did it. But then it takes you so much longer to be able to make these to make the changes that should be relatively quick. You look at recent things like nerfs to certain exotics like One-Eyed Mask, and the nerf, when you look at it, it's like, okay, well, that's, you know, cool. We get where you're going with it. You know, we asked for the nerf, so we expected something like this. But what's not understood is why it took them so long to do that. It doesn't make sense. There's not a lot of communication on the why, and I think it's, you know, when you have games like I'll even use Anthem right now. You know, Anthem's had a rough launch, and obviously D2's been out long before Anthem. But when you look at the game, like, they're able to go in there and make changes really quickly. I'm assuming the Division can. I'm not following it. But Fortnite, Apex, all these games, they can go in, boom, 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 make changes, and it's done. And that's hurt Destiny not being able to do that. And for a while, we had really good communication.
This is a combat loop, a simulation of the recent past when the Cabal attacked Mercury. The Vex must be testing alternative outcomes.
You know, it's just one of those things that it makes so little sense on why it takes them so long to update. And before Forsaken came out, you know, they were like, we're going to do better at communicating. And we were like, that's all we want. You know, all we want is for you guys to just keep us in the loop. You know, let us know. Alright, that's a little too far out. I'll have to get a little closer. That's all we're asking. You know, just keep us in the loop. Let us know, you know, what's going on. And it seems like since Forsaken has come out, like, they really regressed in that department. At least to me, they have. Christopher Barrett, who was, you know, kind of the a lot of the stuff. Like, he's kind of, at least as far as I'm concerned, he's gone dark, at least about stuff that, with the game development, like, we're not hearing as much, if anything. And for me, it's disarming. It's alarming because we just don't know. And I'm not going to get into the rumors of PvP or not having PvP that have come up. That have come up recently with a couple of, sandbox guys from Bungie leaving. Like, I don't know about all that, so we're not going to address it. But the fact is we don't have any information. And if you watch the live stream that Bungie did today, the Bungie bounty for Gambit on PC, they kind of addressed it a little bit like, oh well, we don't, we got people working hard on Crucible right now, and this isn't the time to answer those questions, but when it is time, we'll have the right people do it. And that's an admirable response, but the fact is it's as good as no response to me, because you didn't confirm or deny anything. How? It's just, oh, they're working on it. I mean, but the sad part is that's the most we've heard out of anything about Crucible in forever. There's not been any sandbox changes. There hasn't been any, there hasn't really been anything. And if you listen to a lot of the people that stream Destiny 2, especially the PvP people, like, they just want to know. Like, no one's sitting here saying, like, oh, you have to change this, that, and the third overnight. Like, nobody is saying that. But at least if you're making changes, let us know. If you're not, let us know. The whole thing with trials being removed from the game, like, that didn't bother me. I'm not a competitive PvP guy. Hell, I'm barely a PvP guy. Like, I get in there to do my weeklies usually. That's about it. But they've had no information for months now, and it doesn't make sense. So I think personally Bungie needs to get back to communicating the way they were pre-Forsaken. Let us know, or even just after Forsaken, when we had a lot of dialogue, we knew what was going on. Right now we're not getting that, and it's making people antsy, especially because Division 2 has launched perfectly.
They're redirecting the Cabal to destroy it. We have to hurry.
Anthem launched terribly, which kind of helped Destiny in a way, because it was like, haha, see, you guys thought this game was going to be great, and look at it. Like, it was worse off than D2 was, I think, at launch, and that's, or Osiris, and that's really saying something. This really is saying something about a game, that Anthem has screwed up that bad, and this isn't the time to bash on them. But the fact is it is, it's felt throughout the community, and we thought we were in a good place, and it was like, oh, the Division feels good. I played the beta. It's not my thing. I'm not really an FPS player. Like, I'm more of a traditional RPG guy, MMOs, things like that. I play Destiny because I love it. My friends play it. Oof, that was good. But, I don't, so first-person shooters aren't really my thing. Third-person definitely isn't. I know it's like a looter shooter, but games like Diablo, that's really more what I grew up on. That's what I'm familiar with. That's what I'm better at. So it's just, for me, that's kind of my cup of tea. Like I said, it's not everybody's, but anyways, off on a tangent. So I just think that Destiny has such an opportunity to gain back some of the marketplace, and I think they're losing it right now.
Look at that, ahead of us. That has to be the map. The Infinite Forest is a doomsday machine, but when you see it like this, it's almost beautiful. That Minotaur is going to be trouble. gonna be worse.
Oh man, he already left. I need you off my nuts. Anyways, what was I saying? So, I feel like Destiny really had a chance to get a lot of the community back just before Division 2 dropped. And then Division 2 dropped and has basically been perfect. And I think that's really hurt Destiny. You know, we know the annual pass is coming. That content was coming. We know we have one more release. We don't know what's coming. We're assuming in September, but it's possible too that Bungie's not going to hold to a typical release schedule since splitting with Activision.
He's going to the map. Hurry!
There's really no way to know that for sure. I would say that they probably will, just because they know that we need content, and again, especially because the Division launched so flawlessly. Like, they cannot afford to not have content out there. Like, they can't. So, I say look forward to having some Destiny content in the fall, winter area. I think it will stay on a more traditional arc, and then, you know, we'll get, I think we're going to get like a season pass kind of thing. I'm not going to address it, but that's what's been leaked as well. But I thought that before the leak. That they weren't going to give us like a huge drop. So right now it's just a wait and see kind of a mode. Where I'm at with Destiny, will I continue to play? Probably. I've invested so much time, money, effort into the game that I will probably give whatever it is they come up with a shot.
Let's get that map.
But that's really more out of, I think, obligation for myself. And that 500.
What are you waiting for? We've got a dark future to avert.
What are you waiting for? Sorry.
Scanning. I can't find Panoptes. The map's too big. I can't search it fast enough. It changes constantly. I need more processing power. There are Vex mines on Nessus that might do the trick. You up for a hunting expedition?
So now to Nessus. Alright, cool. No new crazy adventures. Artifacts 8. Let's go. Oh. Alright. But yeah, anyways, you know, I'm really invested in this game. I want Bungie to do well, but I think they've got a lot of things they need to fix. And I think that one of the things they need to do is they just need to make the game easier to update. They need to go back to communicating with us first and foremost. I think that's super important. Just letting us know. You know, I know there's some stuff they want to keep secret, and I get that, but you know, there's a difference between quiet, you know, with like keeping some secrets and just complete and utter, just feeling like you're being ignored. As a community, we don't like that. You know, so I think that that's definitely an area of opportunity for them to get back to communicating with us. Hold on on a second while I start this. But, you know, for now, we just have to wait and see. So that's what we're going to do. Alright.
One of my hidden has located an entangled mind for you. That class of Vex mind should provide the processing power you need.
Great. We'll find it and take its brain.
We'll find it and we'll take its brain. You're dead.